Hello guys, and welcome back to the another class of our course about Python. So until now we talk about lot of very interesting things, and until now you were have a pretty much knowledge of Python and how it works. So we talked in our last class about if statement and how exactly it works, and we talk about everything around if statement, and we also saw the if statement works with the boolean. So usually we need a true or false to be able to run an if statement, which is true in majority of cases, but you don't need the statement in itself to be able to run an if function. Let me explain us. Let's say for example, when you compare one number to another number, normally you will have true or false value. So for example, if you compare 1 with 1, well, 1 equal to 1, and in this case you have your if statement. So this statement means it's true because 1 equals to 1. So this is the same thing that we will do today. So my goal is today is really to present you guys how exactly we can work with if statement without necessarily having a true or false values or boolean values. So let's try this out. So we will do same of two basic exercise with variables, and then after we will work with some more advanced data. So let's start. The first thing that I will do, we can just watch now. I will have two variables, so I will have variable number 1 which will be equal to 1, and variable number 2 which will be equal to 5. So I will create my if statement. So in this case, if variable number 1 equals to variable number 2. So I want to print yes, otherwise I print no, else so print no. So if I run my app, as you can see here, answer will be no. Why? Because variable number 1 is not equal to variable number 2. And in this case, if for example I write down 5, so if I run my app, it's gonna be yes. So as you can see, I don't necessarily have the true or false statement, and true or false data nowhere is stored in any variable. Instead, I have, let's say, numbers. So I compare one number equal to the second number, and the first number is equal to the second number. This means that is true. So this value is true. So this theoretically equals to true, and because of that Python will print yes. I can do it more advanced. For example, let's say three variables, let's say equal to 2. I can print something like this, equal to variable number 3, and I can run my app. As you can see, value will be no. Why? Because variable number 1 is equal to variable number 2 but is not equal to variable number 3. So what I can use is number statement which is not equal to variable number 3. So if I run my app, as you can see, it's gonna be yes. Why? Because variable number 1 is equal to variable number 2 but not equal to variable number 3. So if we want to write equal, it's gonna be two equal signs. If you are one not equal, it's gonna be exclamation mark and an equal sign. Alright, so right now you get the point of all this. Let's try something else. Let's say for example here we will have 5 and 6. Instead of equal, what I can do, I can write greater. So let's say for example variable number 1 is greater than variable number 2. Once again, if I run my app, as you can see, variable number 1 is not greater than variable number 2. So in this case, answer will be no. But what I can do, I can say for example, greater or equal. So in this case, if I run it, it's going to be no. But if it's 5, it's going to be yes because it's equal. So in this case, I would ask if it's greater or equal, so the answer will be yes. You can do this for greater, for equal, for greater or equal, for smaller or equal. Well, there are many comparisons that exist, but the most popular ones are equal, not equal, greater, smaller, greater or equal, smaller or equal. Alright, so right now that you understand what exactly comparison part in if statement, I propose you guys to make 2 apps so you will be able to practice and understand it a little bit more. So first thing guys to do is open up your text editor. We are already in text editor. What we can do, we can create 4 variables. So we will have variable 1 and we will use colors. So we will use string. You can use colors for any other type of string, doesn't matter. So we have variable 2. Alright, so we have everything that we need. After that, we simply add the colors that we want to add. Red, black, yellow. So we have blue, red, black and yellow. Great, I have what I need. So also my goal right now is simply to show you that you can compare strings together. So just before we compare numbers together, but right now we will compare strings together. So for example, if we write down our if function once again, we have our variables number 1 which is equal to variable number 2. In this case, that's true. What we will do, we want to Python print yes, it's the same color. Great. So we run our app and we have nothing because it's not same. So what will be our condition else if it's not true? Print it's not true. When it's all done, simply run your app. So as you can see, the answer will be no, it's not true. Because the variable number 1 is not equal to variable number 2. So if for example here we have red, so red is equal to red, we run our app, yes, it's the same color. So let's say for example we have red with a capital letter and red with a small letter. It's not gonna work because Python respects cap letter. So if you have 2 words but the letters one of it is capital, the other one is not, so it's gonna not work. So very important, you need the exact same thing if you want it to work. Alright, so right now you get the point that you can compare strings together, you can compare numbers together, you can compare boolean together, you can compare absolutely everything together, but you can't compare string with numbers or numbers with that, for example, boolean. If for example you want to compare numbers with string and you need to transform your string into number, before being able to do it and you have some functions to do it. Alright, So let's create another small app. This time it's going to be a bit more complex since I want you guys to practice bit more, but that in this app what we will do principally is simple. Our goal is to find out who is richest person between the three different persons. So what exactly we will have to do right now? The first thing that we will be need to find out the name of each person. So we will ask our users to enter their names and enter how much money they have. So let's write it down. So we have our first variable which will be person's name. So we have equal to input. So we have our input and what we will ask our user to do is what is your name. So right here the user will enter his or her name. The next thing that we want to know from this user is how much money do you have. So we will create another variable that will be person's wallet and we will write down input and ask the person how much money do you have. So the person will answer us with his or her name and money that this person have. Right now what we need to do is exact same thing for next two persons because we will have three different persons. So you can simply copy everything and paste it. And instead of having person number 1, we will have person number 2. Great. So we do this for person number 2 and person number 3 as well. Alright. So until now you have everything you need to be able to continue. So if person number 1, number 2 and number 3 that have our basic database, it's time for us to create our app. So once again we will use the if function in this app to be able to run it. So what we will ask Python to do right now is very simple. We want to know that the name of person and if the person number 1 has more money than the person number 2. If yes, we want to verify if person 1 has more money than person number 3. If those statements are respected, we will simply return person number 1 is the richest. So very simple. As you can see, the app is simple. Right now it's time to create it. So we will have our if statement right here. And the first thing that we'll need to enter right now is we need to convert our string into numbers. So as I explained before, you can't work with strings and numbers at the same time because Python can't compare string with numbers. So very important to convert it first. So how do we convert strings to numbers? With using float function. So write down float and copy this variable right here. So if person number 1 wallet is greater than, in this case, to person number 2 wallet. Now you have to write down float function because it's nothing will work. You will get error. So alright, we have person number 1 wallet greater than person number 2. Well, so this is the first part of function. We verify if it's true and then we want to verify if the person number 1 has more money than person number 3. So we will use AND function here and we will write down float function will be able to work with numbers. So person number 1 wallet is greater than person number 3 wallet. Alright, so we have everything we need. Next thing that we need to do right now is that we want our output. So very simple. What want to Python print now? So very simple. We print person number 1 name. So we need the name of person number 1 plus is the richest. So we have inputs right here. We have our database right here. So everyone enters his name and how much money he has. The calculation right here. So person number 1 wallet greater than person number 2 and same thing for person number 3. And then we print the name of person number 1 is richest if it's true. If it's false, it doesn't work. What we need to do right now is very simple. So we verify if it's person number 2 is the richest. So in this case, we will use elif function. So once again, it's an if function that is integrated in another function. So we do exact same thing. Instead of writing, simply copy and paste everything that we need. So the next thing that you guys to need is change the persons. So here we will have person number 2 is richer than person number 1. Same thing here, person number 2 and person number 3. And in name, not forget to write person number 2 as well. And finally, you copy and paste everything to be able to do exact same thing for person number 3. When we have all this, what we can do now? We can run our app. So we have absolutely everything we have. So our logical test for person number 1, 2 and 3. We can run our app to see what it looks like. So what is your name? In this case, name will be Jack. How much money? Jack has $100. What is your name? Let's say Mina. How much money Mina has? Let's say $50. And finally, what is your name? So let's say John. How much money John has? $25. As you can see, Jack is the richest. Let's change our input. In this case, what is your name? Once again, we will say Jack. How much money do you have? $10. Mina. How much money Mina have? $50. And finally, let's say what is your name? So John. How much money John have? $15. As you can see, Mina is the richest person. It's very simple. The app works perfectly. Who is richest person? So until now, you know now you can use the if statement. The if statement is really for decision making, and right now you can see that you don't necessarily need boolean values. You can just compare a string with string and expect true or false. So let's say for example, if two things are not same, well this means it's not true, and if it respect it, well this means are true. So let's say number is greater than another number, which means it respect the comparison of this number is greater than this number. So in this case it's true. So I hope you guys understand how to work with if statement, and this will be very useful for you guys in future when you become more advanced in programming language. So that's it for this class guys. See you all in next class.